Here's JWB's and Thesis on the Jacksonville investment opportunity. We believe that we are where Austin and Nashville and these other successful downtowns were 10 to 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's very clear that when you make a decision to invest in a market, you don't want to be late when it's a downtown revitalization, for sure, because you could be investing in Nashville today. Mm-hmm. And Nashville might be a place to invest, but it's surely speculative. Now, there's no way you're getting cash flow. And so, but it is, some folks can be way early. There's not a downside to being way early, but it really feels like right now is that tipping point where we had about 7,500 residents living downtown, which is where, Nashville was in 2013. Mm-hmm. And from 2013 to 2020 or 2017, I can't remember, that's when things really popped off. So how close do you want to try to time this to the point where Jacksonville really explodes? It certainly makes a whole lot more sense now that we see this pattern happening. Buy and hold in the next market that you think is undergoing a revitalized downtown, because you're setting yourself up for these types of exponential gains and a much better return on investment while it still can be risk mitigated. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Tell me more about that, because I'm getting a lot of questions here. It's like, are you saying that people should be investing in downtown Jacksonville right now?
I'm so glad you asked that question. Risk mitigation is the other part of this, right? Our thesis is not to go in and buy a building downtown Jacksonville. There's really not a whole lot of rental inventory anyways in downtown Jacksonville. But even if there was, I would not advocate for you to go and do that. And the reason is because if you do that, the prices are a lot higher than what the rents are. And you're going to be cash flow negative to the tune of hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars a month by buying a property in downtown Jacksonville. And that's just a residential property. You want to buy a commercial property in downtown Jacksonville, be prepared to take on a ton of risk and have very deep pockets and have to understand how incentive programs work and all of these things. So the thesis is not for you to go out and buy in downtown Jacksonville. The thesis is for you to buy single-family rental properties surrounding downtown Jacksonville, because you get all of the benefits, the indirect benefits of that downtown popping, that downtown growing, median incomes growing up, people living downtown, and then home prices for the market going way up without you having to take the risk. Because investing around downtown right now still allows you to buy properties that are cash flow positive. You can buy 3, 5, 10, and they're going to be putting money in your pocket every single month while you're waiting for some time period, 1 year, 3 or 5 years, 10 years for downtown Jacksonville to really reach its full potential.
So, we have talked about this before. It's this idea of cash flow being risk mitigation. If you are investing in downtown right now, it still hasn't crossed that 10,000, person threshold, but it's on its way, is what we're saying. So you can invest, like I have, like many of the folks here on the show have, in these single family homes that are workforce housing that feed the workforce that is benefiting from this raised median income, all these different things that are moving closer and closer to using downtown as an amenity, do all these things, and right now you can profit from it. And not just as a risk mitigation, it's also easier to get in, right? Like, to get into a downtown property right now, you're coming out of pocket a lot, whereas to invest in a single family home around downtown, it's like 50 grand, right? So let's talk about if you're doing that, then hopefully you got to be counting on people doing the investing in downtown. That's not you, right? So let's talk about those numbers.
Yeah, so here is the case for downtown Jacksonville's resurgence, right? What are the leading indicators that help you see that downtown Jacksonville is growing and is becoming the next Nashville? Well, there's a few things that we can take a deeper dive on. One is how many development projects are going on right now. And guys, last year when I shared this information with you, there was $4 billion of active construction going on for development projects in little old downtown Jacksonville. And I have gone to as many state of downtown reports as I can find. I've gone and toured other successful downtowns. I went and I toured Washington, D.C. while I was there with my family. I checked out their state of downtown report. They had $1 billion of construction going on in a super successful downtown in Washington, D.C. I can't find another downtown that has anywhere close to 5 billion of construction going on right now.
So we can count on money going into downtown to fulfill this promise. I just want to say a couple of things for scale. One is, if DC has $1 billion in construction happening in downtown, we just added that from last year to this year in investment in downtown. And there's a really interesting graphic that I heard of recently. But like, if you were to stack $1 million in, I think it's $100 bills, it would be about yay high, right? It's like this tall. If you were to stack $1 billion in $100 bills, it's the height of the Empire State Building.
What?
Yeah. So like we throw around these big numbers like billions, right?
Yeah.
But like the difference between $1 million and $1 billion is 1,000 fold.
Yeah.
Right.
That's crazy.
So just like adding 1 billion in pipeline year over year is a giant trend of like, this thing is happening. The big money is rolling in. Our ability to like get alongside the big money and put our chip at the same table. It might not be that you can put $500,000 into like some syndication investment in downtown, but you can definitely pick up 1, 2, 3, 4 properties that will have that same kind of like growth opportunity with the cash flow, with the risk mitigation already handled by a company that's proven to be able to do it.
100%.
All right. So let's talk about population.
And let's look at population growth, okay? So again, mirroring our thesis here that Jacksonville is what Austin or Nashville was 10 or 15 years ago, right? Our population has grown 50% in the last 5 years, right? Sort of what Nashville's did, right? Well, we're starting to see that people are buying into the theory of, I want to live downtown, even before all the beautiful amenities are here. And the resident population in downtown Jacksonville is expected to cross the 10,000 threshold, 10,000 person threshold, sometime 2025 or maybe 2026. And you know what? One of the projects we're going to get to see as a part of Summit is we're going to see the Pearl Square district, which is the first major development led by Brian Mull and Gateway Jacks, of which JWB is a sponsor of Gateway Jacks. So guys, I think it's really possible that our investment, right? Yeah. The Gateway Jacks investment might be the project that actually crosses the 10,000 person scale.
The tipping point project.
Man, that would be so cool.
That'd be really cool. So just something to think about, right? As I'm looking at what we showed in Nashville in population size, right? It tipped 2017. By 2024, it was double that, right? And that's essentially what this thing is predicting, right? It's predicting that it tips in 2025 and 5 years later to be double that, right? So if we want to, again, draw these same conclusions, it does feel like this is the ramp up moment. This is when it's really, like we call it, the curve bends, right? Yes. Like we've had this like historical 5% appreciation rate. The curve likely bending from henceforth is a good one, and getting in and owning these properties before that happens, before everybody else understands it, is kind of like the stock tip of the year kind of thing, right?
That's the way we think.